So now we're going to talk a little bit about rooftop heat exchangers, the most common places I find cracks. So Carrier and Lennox, the ones I'm going to show you, they kind of have two different nuisance spots for cracks. The Carrier I'm going to show you here first is brand new. This is the 2024 model. It has the new blue blower on it. As I think a lot of you have probably seen the newer Carrier style. As you guys probably are aware, Carrier are notorious for cracking in the same spot. I've seen heat exchangers that are 2 months old and they crack in this exact spot all the time. So if you come down here, there's this seam right here. Usually on the top side, sometimes the bottom side, this seam right here will crack. I've seen cracks 2 months old on a unit. Really depends kind of how they're set up for airflow. But you would not be shocked if you found a crack anywhere here, any time of the year in a heat exchanger for Carrier. I have seen them before, crack on the U-bend. That's most common on most units, but actually not on Carrier. The Carrier are usually right there in that front seam. So if you're looking for cracks on heat exchangers, that's your most common spot. And then second is over here. I have seen too, if you ever find you have coming out of your exhaust, you see black soot, or it kind of smells acidic, like there's aldehydes, that's a product of incomplete combustion. I've actually seen from the factory before these crimps here that help with heat absorption. Actually, I've seen before that they're actually crimped too much from the factory before, and it reduces airflow through the heat exchanger so much where it actually causes incomplete combustion. But that's only been a few times, and I've shown the manufacturer, but yeah. So that's the most common places for the Carrier. So when you want to check the heat exchanger for the Carrier, instead of taking off the end cover, I usually start with the side one and check that front seam where the gas combustion comes directly in at the start. And then I would take off the end bell and check that next. Lennox, here we got, Lennox rooftop. They're only really notorious for cracking in one spot, and that is on the U-bend. So if you come around to the back, products of combustion shoot out the bottom and come over here, and all that heat basically hits this corner. And right here, when they bend the steel, and they actually bend this 180, it thins out this outer wall as it kind of gets stretched the most. So this outer wall is the thinnest, and that's where the heat kind of hits this wall. And you'll find on the Lennoxes, they crack here 90% of the time, somewhere on the U-bend. I haven't seen many cracks down there at the start, and very many up at the pitch points kind of area. But I've seen numerous cracks kind of right here. So if you're gonna look for a heat exchanger crack, those are my two recommendations. It doesn't take very long to check for it. You get a good flashlight, take the panels off, takes you about 30 seconds. And it's a good thing to check. I usually like to check in the springtime before summer and also in the fall. People ask, why do you check it in the springtime? Well, if I want to replace a rooftop unit, I'd rather do it in the summer when it's really nice and there's no snow and it's clean and easy. Where we live, there's a lot of snow in the winter and it just becomes a nuisance to replace a unit in the wintertime. So I prefer to do it in the summer. And also, if they have tight budgets, if you find these issues in the spring, maybe it might take 6 months to get approved, so then hopefully it'll be installed before the fall season. But yeah, so for Carrier and Lennox rooftops, those are the two most common places to find cracks in the heat exchanger.